So we're going to start with a review. Okay. So last week we began with the idea that the revelation of essence of Hashem is through complete bittul. Okay. So it's not the bittul. I want to go slow with this so we really get what we're talking about. We basically want to reveal that everything is Hashem, which is like everything is awesome, right? So it's not the bittul of feeling like a nothing. It's the bittul of really feeling like the biggest something in the world, which is that you and Hashem are one. Hashem is being expressed through you. How much better do you want to get? So that you get by getting out of the way. It's not about feeling like you're nothing. It's about getting out of the way. And how do you get out of the way? By getting out of your head. Your head is a lower light, and it does not allow you to really connect to Atzmos. The head is good for things. It has its purpose. Okay, it's good for learning. It's good for figuring things out, solutions, solving problems. It's not good for connection. Ultimate connection through the heart and through the body. So you want to reveal Atzmos through you. You got to get out of your head and tune in to how you're feeling, what's coming up. Are you feeling triggered? There's nothing wrong with it. Feeling triggered, great opportunity to reveal more of Hashem. Everything is a great opportunity. It's not a problem. Everything's an opportunity. You're feeling stressed out, great. That means that something's not true about Hashem over here. Let me figure out how to not be stressed out and in an authentic way. What am I taking on that's not true for me? What's too much? See what I'm saying? It's like how to becoming so real and normal and not so like, high in the clouds, but real earthy, normal people. And that's the truth of Hashem. And so things that get in the way is not a problem. If you're not feeling calm all the time, that's fine, because it's just telling you that you just want to reveal more and more of Hashem. And it's with Rahmanas, because if you really understand that we are mamish, like a manifestation of Hashem himself, it's very overwhelming. You could pass out from just thinking about it. So Hashem is slowly getting you used to that idea. So it's slow. It's a process. If you really connected to that fact, you would pass out. You'd pass away. I don't know. It's too much to really get. And that's why at Mount Sinai they passed out. It's because they realized that they saw the flow, that they were really manifestations of Hashem, and that was too much to contain. So it's not really, just the fear. It was, the recognition, like, oh my God, like, that's scary, so in that kind of way. So that's what we're trying to get to. Now, so the Rebbe says that this is the kind of bittul of getting out of the head and into the body and heart that they had by Matan Torah, right? They said, Na'aseh v'nishma, right? The mind says, well, I don't know, I have to see, right? If you're in the head, it doesn't make sense. Why should I do it? And they went straight. Second, I hear. Mute. Okay. Right? So, so Na'aseh v'nishma is like out of the head, no logic, transcending logic. Hashem wants to we don't have to figure it out. It's sort of like what we're trying to get the masculine to do, right? The wife feels a certain way, she loves it. Do you have to understand why she loves it? No, she loves it. That's it. Stop getting it up. The same thing, Na'aseh v'nishma. If you want to connect to essence, you got to get out of your head. Okay, so that's what they did by Har Sinai, and that's why the Rebbe says they were merited to see Hashem, Anaychi Hashem, in a tangible vision. Right? They could see they heard what they could see, and they saw what they could hear. It's mamish so real, right? But how did you get to that place? By saying Na'aseh v'nishma, getting out of the head and into the heart. So that's the same thing that we're doing now, which is going to allow the ultimate goal of revealing Hashem's essence through us. And how is that? Out of the head. Stop with all these calculations of why it's not going to work. And yesterday was like that. And how come out and get in and tune in to what Hashem is telling you. And it doesn't always feel good. It's okay. You don't have to always feel good. but you're learning. He's revealing himself through the pain. Hello, I want to tell you something new today. That's why you're feeling all edgy. Yesterday you didn't feel edgy for the same thing because Hashem didn't want to reveal it yet through you. Today you are. He's ready for you to recognize that this gotta go. This is not really true. This is not my truth. And then when you realize it and you affirm it or you change, you feel peace. That's your validation. You're feeling at peace. But doesn't mean now you feel at peace for the rest of your life yet. We're getting there. But it's a journey. But we look back and we see how far we've come. I mean, I don't know whoever's doing it. I hope we're somewhere where we weren't before. I could just say for myself that the energy in my home is a whole different level. Whole different level. The tension, really. The one day I was tense, that's when everybody else was tense. That's the only day that there was tension in a long time. Okay, because I know the rules. I don't always feel good, but I know the rules. What do you have to do when you're feeling tense? Okay, and the Rebbe says that is like holy. Holy is, we're going to get to the end of last week, is when you're feeling settled and serene. That's when you're holy. That's it. So for us to be holy, we have to get to that balance that allows us to feel settled and serene at all times. That's when we're being holy. Okay. Now, so 2 weeks ago, I think we said about the Rebbe was saying that when we do this kind of bittul, then we have mayach shalit al halev. The mind rules over the body because the mind is calm, is a place that's not busy. It's a settled place, and the heart is a place that's busy. So when they work together, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyway, you get this is mayach shalit al halev. Okay, when the two of them. Okay, we were talking about bringing the peace into the busy world. Okay, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But I just wanted to bring in mayach shalit al halev.
Can I ask a question at this point
sure.
and make a comment? Right. So as you're saying this, I'm thinking, the Yidden at Har Sinai that had this overwhelming feeling because Hashem revealed himself to them because they were, they merited it. That's what you said, because they merited it because they said we will do and then we will learn. So They were in their hearts instead of it, they got out of their heads. Mm-hmm. So I just had this thought, that, the Rebbe said, based on the Ari, that we're that generation, that same generation that left Mitzrayim. So we're that generation that's going to greet Mashiach. So it almost makes sense that we would have to relive that, that 100%. Same emotion, that same exactly transition. 100%. But then I was thinking, like what in the world happened in the middle?
So that's the thing. So in the middle, we were preparing the kalim to handle the revelation, so we shouldn't pass out. It's like they got the revelation, but they passed out.
They passed out.
You have another 5,000 years of work
we won't
to
pass
be able to be the hands and feet of God, in tune with God at all times. God's telling you everything what he wants. I want you to do this now, that.
Awesome. No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Without passing out.
Wow.
Which is quite a feat. But that's, the work that we did is like we became light bodies. Remember, like I think the Alter Rebbe said in the beginning, they were very coarse, but that's because, they had to do the work to thin themselves out and refine themselves.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Like practically, what does that mean they were coarse?
They're very superficial. You can marry 4 wives. There's no real connection. It's all about, it's very, people weren't safe in those years. You know what I mean? They were very good up. How do you say it? Just not refined, sensitive. There's a lot, whatever. As much as we say the previous generations were higher, I don't know, the way I see it, we're the highest generations. We're the most refined. We're closer to Hashem than in a certain way. Maybe we don't have all these revelations and all these things that they had, in the mind maybe of the previous, but it was, think about like world history, right? Look at the American democracy that we have now compared to what it was before democracy. It was chaos, you're not safe. Who's going to protect you? People could just kidnap you, you become their wives, like the way the world worked. women were a chattel. I mean, it was very coarse. 3-year-olds could get
Right.
married.
Although
all the
the
stuff.
Yidden, but I'm just wondering, yes, the non-Jews were like
Right.
that. They were doing,
Right.
human sacrifices and all that
Yeah.
before Torah. But the Yidden, were they also that coarse?
In a
Some
certain
of them?
level, yes. In a certain level,
Think
yes.
about the rabbis used to beat their students in cheder. It was like
Yes,
common practice.
Yeah.
that's right.
So all
That's
that
right.
stuff, and the
I
force
forgot
and the
about that. Yeah.
control and
the
lot.
shidduchim that would happen, where women wouldn't have a voice. At least
Yeah.
this was back in the 1800s,
Right.
where
But that's like reflecting society. It's like the Torah was like an upgrade of society, but society itself, you know what I mean? So the way the Jews were a reflection of the society and a little better, an upgrade, But the Alter Rebbe says it. The Alter Rebbe says that's so they only got a little bit. They understood a certain level, very superficial level of how to be connected to Hashem. And over the years, they worked and they worked and became more refined. And then the world became more refined. We're the ones that refined the world. You want to give yourself credit. Who refined the world? The world is so much more refined than it was years ago. Look at the way it's becoming even more refined. I only see refinement. I mean, people could see that, oh, this is terrible, that's terrible. I see holiness in the world. People want better. They want love. They, want everybody to be treated equally. Whatever. They're not going about everybody perfectly, but I see the whole world is coming together. To me, that's But this is from us. See, now we really appreciate what we did. Everybody was coarse, but when we brought in more light of the Torah, it allowed the world to become more refined till you have democracy. And then even democracy, the early years were not so refined, it was getting better. And so that's because of the work we did. So we could actually take the credit, but we weren't yet ready to now reintroduce that direct connection of Atzmos with Hashem. So we had a lower level. It was Ein Sof. It was spirituality. Spirituality is not the ultimate. Spirituality is a creation. It was created after Hashem created the world. It's not above the world, above levels and divisions and things. The Atmos doesn't have any separation. There's no levels and better and worse.
Like I've heard you say, it's like, would that be compared to like, it's the manual, but now get out of the manual and
enjoy the art. It's like
right.
The Torah is the manual how to enjoy the art.
Like living in the architecture's blueprint.
Exactly.
Get out of the blueprint and get into the palace.
Exactly.
I've heard you say that.
Right. And the Rebbe said, I think last week, the Rebbe said, it's interesting. There's so many giluyim in this sicha. It's just mind blowing. The Rebbe says, I'm going to get to it as I review it, but it talks about the fact that the Torah was given to us. Why? Because as we are refining the world, we got to change the halacha. The Torah is real. There's a difference between religion and Torah. Religion is man-made. Torah is the ultimate truth of Hashem. And so it's just openly, the Rebbe and the Alter Rebbe said it. The Torah, the religion, the Jewish religion is man-made. It's what we understood is what Hashem, is what we understood from what we understood. And that's how it makes the law. And then there's no apologetic over here. It is what it is. And therefore, the Rebbe says in the Sikh as well, because it's man-made, the closer we get to Mashiach, the more Hashem, we have to keep on learning Torah, which what we're doing, because the more Hashem is, it's a Torah, nice saying HaTorah. Hashem gives it to us every day, like now. It's a present term, because he's revealing himself more and more. And so we have to go with the flow. We have to change with the times. Now that we understand that this is really true, and you have to bring the emotions on board, and it's not one size fits all and all that. Halacha has to reflect. There's a lot of things that are not really from the Torah. I don't know if we call it halacha, but the way we lived, the way we made ourselves crazy for Pesach. Okay, it doesn't mean we should eat chametz, but perhaps there were Rabbanim that insisted that we make ourselves Meshuggah, maybe. And now they're realizing it's about enjoying the relationship with Hashem. You can't. And they have to come out and say, no, that's not the truth. So we're not talking about what's in the Torah, which is don't eat chametz. But all the stuff was very superficial understanding of about what Pesach is all about. And it's not, because if the women are coming frazzled, it's about the relationship. And the Rebbe says, if it's causing stress, it's not Torah. That's it. So the Rabbanim have to change. And you see what I'm saying? Things that in the past, if somebody's in an abusive marriage and the Torah allows for divorce, it was very funny. I was talking to somebody who's struggling with Yiddishkeit, and she's like making fun of the Torah and these rules. And she says, and the Torah in marriages is to death do us part. I said, actually, that's the secular version. Torah actually has divorce. And the ksuba has, in case you get divorced, da-da-da. She was like, had nothing to say. Torah has the truth. But in the past, the Chisani's understanding is, well, too bad, to death do us part. Now, you know what? It has to be a workable relationship. If it's causing you tremendous tsar, it's not Hashem's truth. It's the Torah says divorce. Kasuba says divorce. We're not the Goyim who say to death, even though they divorce more than the Jews. But you see what I'm saying? Like, the Rabbanim have to reflect the truth of the Torah. There's a reason for it. It's so that people think they could just not change their ways and keep on behaving in a certain way and causing tremendous sorrow to the other one. And they're backed by Rabbanim who say you gotta to death do us part, even though that's not the Torah. Then who's going to change? So you get closer to the truth. There's a point where you're like, you know what? This is tsar. It's a tsar balachayim, whatever. So now, as we're getting closer, you do see a lot of marriages that aren't lasting. But I see it as gula. I see it as like, enough is enough. We're not putting up with this anymore. So the truth of the Torah, as I'm saying, doesn't always match what the religion is or what we believe. But the Rabbanim, the more Hashem is revealing himself to us, are hopefully coming along and validating the truth of the Torah. So we have to, really appreciate that. Okay, so now, So somebody asked me, it was very interesting, it's fascinating because somebody that I was talking to last week, she says, somebody asked her, she understands that now we don't suppress the emotions anymore. But what if somebody was asking her, what about Mayashalat al Halev? Don't we talk about suppressing the emotions? So she remembered that I just spoke about this in the sicha. And it's so interesting how the timing, like when somebody was looking for that source, we found the source. It's right here. And the Rebbe says it clearly. It's not in a way of control. It's in a way of connecting to the internals through desire. And that's how it's like the mind is like, okay, so how do you explain it? So how do you explain it now in the Geula way? So I found the word that really explains it. The mind resolves the heart. Shalit could be resolves, okay? So what's the rule? How is now Mayach Shalit al Halev? So the mind steps out of the way, gets out of logic and control and all manipulation. Okay, and says, I hear you. Let me hear. There must be something true. Let me hear what you're feeling or what's going on, and stop trying to fix, right? And steps out of the way. And once the heart and the body feels heard and understood, now he resolves it so that he is in control. He sort of controls. He's in control of helping the heart and body feel at peace. So he is in control. Okay, he brings the solution, and then you work together as a team, as one, to find the best way how to go about to achieve peace, serenity, right? So the mind resolves the heart. And now what happens when the heart's trigger is resolved? Let's say a trigger is resolved. So then you don't have those crazy thoughts in your head. So there's peace in the mind. The crazy thoughts, the repetitive thoughts, are because your heart is in pain. You go resolve the pain in the heart, the mind is at peace, The heart is happy. And there you go, happy, settled, peaceful. So the mind is really a big player in resolving, it is Shalot Aleph, but it's not in the way of the past. It's not in the way of control, but it is a player. It resolves. And as well, we could say it controls, because if it doesn't get out of the way, it does control the heart, because it doesn't allow the heart to feel peace.
So I wanted to say something about
Yeah.
that. That's like positive affirmations. It sounds like it's like if I just if everything's okay and everything's good and it's all good and everything's like, that whole thing it bothers me so much, because it's like, but there's still pain.
Right. Exactly.
Still...
So there's no unity between heart and mind. And that's why you're not really feeling tranquil and settled. You're not feeling, like when you feel like at a great vacation, or, and you're just like, there are times everybody feels some, oh my God, I feel so good. I want to feel like this all the time, right? You can't feel that way. And the Rebbe says that. The Rebbe says you cannot achieve, if you do not return to one, you cannot achieve perfect settlement. If you're into the spirituality, and which is I believe spirituality is also about everything's good, it's all good. I mean, well, you don't feel like it, but you're saying it. And then what happens? I've seen a lot of people that, they sound very emunadik, and eventually they crack. I don't want to talk, but different things. And I'm like, what was going on inside? What was being suppressed? Or depression, whatever, they break because it wasn't authentic. Now we're resolving the heart, we're working together, and that's how we could achieve. We have to validate, the mind has to get out of the head into the heart and work as a team. And so it does control the heart, because if it doesn't get out of the way to hear what the heart has to say in the body, then it doesn't allow the heart to feel at peace. That's the bottom line.
I'd love to just say something on this. I know we've discussed this this week or last week, but I see Chani Katzman also joined the class. Hi, Chani. So what was amazing is that we spoke about Ma'ach Shalot Aleph last week or a couple weeks ago. You mentioned that, and then I guess it was last week's Dvar Malchus that I learned with Chani that the Rebbe was talking about how we have the 10 spheres, and that the 7 emotional attributes are ones that are revealed in Gullus, and that the Mayach, the 3 parts of our intellectual spheres, are actually trapped, and that they can only be conquered and revealed in the time of Geula, which is also like the 10 lands, that like we conquer the 7 lands, and the last 3 are only conquered in the time of Geula. And like I was really thinking about that a lot. I was like, it seems the opposite. It seems like we've always had our Mayach, we've always had our intellect, but like our emotions are trapped. So what does that mean? But then like this came to me when I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh my gosh, like our mind, the way we had our intellect and our logic was in Gullus. It was like the masculine Gullus energy of like the man who controls the wife and who's like, get over it, stop being so emotional, stop being so complicated, like, and then like this dominating, controlling way, which has been the masculine energy. So even though the men have been like ruling and dominating and controlling, they've been in Gullus. Their energy has been very dismissive and like pushing away like the pneumius feminine energy. And so when men become in Geula, they're in true masculine energy, they're redeemed, where it's like, what's going on? Like, what are you feeling? What do you need? How can I support you? Like, what's your desire? And like, not like get caught up in the chitzonius of how we're acting, but like really it's like see our heart, and it's like, I see you need something, like, is there anything I can do? Do you need a hug? Can I support you? So that part of our head was completely in Gullus. Like we thought we had our head, but we didn't have our head. We had a bully. We had bullies in our head who were controlling us, dominating us,
and the judgment
us away,
and
telling
all
us
the
to be
stuff.
quiet.
Yeah.
So when what does it mean? Like we redeem, we conquer our Mayach, we bring it into Geula consciousness, where it's like it talks to the heart, like a loving husband to a wife. It's like, what's wrong? What are you feeling? What do you need? Like, can I help you? Can I support you? I'm going to give you space. And then it's like, oh, you want this? Okay, I'll do that for you. And that's how our head becomes redeemed in Geula. And then we could have full Geula where our whole body is working together in this loving, supportive way.
Beautiful.
So
Yes, thank you so much.
thank
I
you.
forgot that you shared that with me. That's mamish beautiful. Like we never really appreciated that. What does it mean that the mind is like the Chachma, Bina, and Das are the last parts that are going to be redeemed. But now we understand it. It's like get out of your controlling ways. Get out of your head, and connect to the heart and the body, and and then be the mature one to figure out how to make the shalom over here. So show up in the way that you're needed, and that whole way of using the mind in the past was the Gullus way. So it's just so beautiful. Like the more we learn, the more we understand other things in Hasidus. It's just beautiful, and that's what the end of this sicha is going to be about. Just uncovering more and more and more. And it's like Hashem is alive, revealing himself in the Torah, in the Hasidus every day. See, so you connected that, and then you share it, and then we learn something else. And then, so it's like we're connecting to Atzmos, revelations of Atzmos every single day by learning these things and then putting into practice and living it. It's not just about knowing it, it's about living it. And that's when we live it, it's because you can't bring peace if you're not living it, right? You have to actually put it into action. So if you know it, doesn't help. It's the goal, the shleimus of the Torah is to live in a state of peace and serenity. That requires action. What do I need to do now? Do I need to up my how do you call it when you up your energy? I forgot already. I'm going to come to me. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know what? To get into a higher vibration. Yeah, get into a higher vibration. Okay. I'm
higher
feeling
frequency.
Higher frequency. Yeah. Tune into a higher frequency, higher vibration. How do you do that? Connect to Gashmias. What do you need? Connect. What do you need to dance? Do you need to do exercise? Do you need to do art, coloring, adult coloring, anything? What is going to put you in that state? Just keep on going until you're feeling amazing. Now you're connected. You're not in your head anymore. You're in your heart. And now you could show up in a good way with everybody. You don't have to be controlling. You could talk nicely. You could be present. And Muna comes through and you're not all freaked out and anxious, but we know what to do. Those are the tools. I was sharing with somebody, there's the assay and the lice assay of Malchus work, right? Assay is mindfully using things that are gonna bring you to a higher vibration. What do you need to do to bring you to that level of joy and energy? Authentic, not fake, right? So we find, okay, what do I need to do now? What do I feel like doing now? Okay, and then lice assay is do not overwork. Do not take on too much that you're going to start getting a little anxious. Do not do things because other people are going to judge you. Do not, so that's the lice assay. So this is the geula, is the assay and the lice assay. And, or assay is healing trigger work or whatever it is. So we have a new sort of like the Torah Hadasha in a certain way is these tools, the assay and lice assay tools of living a balanced life that is serenity and settled. It allows you to feel, calm and serene, and that spreads like a butterfly effect to the whole world, and that will bring the whole world into completion. Okay. So the Rebbe continues that, so we did already about the nice and Torah and Lai Bashamayim. We said that already. And so like Rivka said, that we're sort of like copying the same thing that they did before when they left Mitzrayim, right? So that was like a smaller level of Geula, but it wasn't the ultimate because we weren't ready for that ultimate revelation. So the Rebbe is saying it here again. But when you compare it, you really understand what we're doing. So the Rebbe said that they also, remember when they were getting ready to receive the Torah, they had 49 days of preparation, right? So they started from Chesed Sheba Chesed, right? So that's like starting from high up. And then all the way to Malchus Sheba Malchus. And then until Pnimius HaKeser, okay? The Pnimius of Keser, which is the transcendent level of Hashem, right? So you get to, so this is exactly what we're doing. Now, we're finally ready to live Malchus, right? And through Malchus, we tune into the Pnimius of our heart, the inner desire and pleasure of our heart and our body. And what does the Rebbe say? That connects you straight to Hashem's essence. You're connecting to a higher vibration, a higher frequency. And that, allows you to feel calm and serene and emunah. And when you're connected, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world, you're calm, you're okay. You could see this, you could do that, but there's that das that's coming through that just, I know it's okay. I don't know how. I know it's all good. I feel it. I can't explain it because it's beyond logic. There's no logic. But this is how, so the Rebbe was saying, we're doing the same thing, like you said, Rivka, what they did when they got ready to receive Anaychi Hashem, the essence. They worked on themselves, all the way down to Malchus, until they got to Pnimius HaKesar, which is the revelation of Hashem's essence. And that is the purpose of the nullification of Tefillah La'ani. We talked last week about the prayer of the poor man. Okay, he doesn't know all these, revelations and all the spheres and all these things are too complicated. So when he talks to God, he talks like a baby. He talks straight to essence. God, my car is broken. Could you please send me a new one? God, oh, that was so nice of you yesterday. But the people who know all these calculations and the things, they're thinking, they're in their head. They're thinking, this kavana and that kavana. But the Rebbe said that's not going to lead you to ultimate serenity, because to ultimate serenity, you have to be tuned into the frequency of Atzmos, above limitations. So there's no, all these levels and things. You have to connect to the plain pashut. It's like the higher up you go, the more simple it is.
Can I say something
about calculations? Yeah.
It occurred to me, because what Rivka is saying about how we're the part in between when we came from Egypt, sorry, and we're creating the Kalim. So if we look at our Kalim, everything everyone talks about is like trauma. We're all traumatized. We're all like trying to heal trauma. And that whole, like you said, religion and Torah, we've also man-made a lot of over suffering. Like we've created so much over suffering of trying to fix the trauma that we're not even allowing this higher light to come in and just say, it's simple. It's like, it's a thought. It's like done. It's like in the Tanya. It's like, you don't have to live there anymore. And it's like we're pushing that away. We're like, no, I have to do so much work on this trauma. Like it's just such a big part of my identity. And the Torah that the Rebbe is teaching is saying the opposite. He's saying like, you've done the work, the vessels are done. Like, don't pay any more attention to that trauma anymore. And like, just receive this light now that feels so good.
Right. Yeah. There's a point where I'm saying this is just a point like with. Sometimes there's still pieces that you have to do the healing, the trigger work and everything. But a lot of the things like, okay, enough. I'm enough, and enough with this. We don't have to do the healing trigger with this already. We just have to step into it. Just step in and live it. Enough.
The trigger work actually makes it fast. Like the trigger work makes it. Like, oh, there's that piece. There's that piece. It's like
Right.
I love what you're saying. Oh, is that what the Rebbe meant? When he said like all the work is done, like the klipa isn't so attached. The evil, it used to be so attached. It would take a lifetime to get over some of this stuff, right? Am I quoting it correctly? Like, but I remember learning that. I don't know with you, but like now that it's separated, like the klipa doesn't have the stronghold. The evil doesn't have the grip on us anymore. So maybe that's why, we're all sensing like it is happening faster. We still have to do the work, but we don't have to go in as deep. I mean, it used to be like, years of therapy, thousands of dollars, thousands of hours. And like, you didn't even, you moved an inch maybe. But now it's like, oh, this book, this class, it's so we talk about that,
and then we just step into it.
Chandel and I talk about, and you and I talk about how fast. It's remarkable. So is that what the Rebbe meant? You think is that?
This is It's like stop playing the old script. We don't need it. It's like let go of what you thought, and you could actually, we're more in control than we thought we were. You know what I mean? We feel so victimized, but we just have to have the confidence and move forward. You know, we don't have to live that way. Chama, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I want to say something in you, and then now Shane, and Rivka. I'll try to make it quick, but we'll comment that, first of all, I mean, when the Rebbe said everything is done, we've done everything. I mean, we've done everything externally. Now we just need to do the pneumius work. But we used to go to therapy for, you know, like you said, like 100 years and go nowhere because we didn't have access to this. Like this whole, we weren't ready to do the pneumius work. So we were stuck and it was impossible. And now we're moving so fast because that's what the Rebbe said. Like now like it's available now. It's just up to us. So we're still doing the work, but also like the rich person and the poor person, this is what just came to, and I actually heard, I wasn't able to come to the class on Tuesday, so I heard the recording. And the way I visualize it or feel it is like the rich person's like how we used to be. It's like we thought we had to be so perfect and inhuman and godly, like that we were like, I'm perfect, I have it all figured out, I'm so intelligent, I'm like, you know, I'm God's gift to the world. Like, at least I had some of that for sure, you know, unfortunately. And it was like, I was so afraid to even admit to myself, I have needs, I'm lonely, I need help, I need support, I don't have it all figured out, I don't always know how to like deal with my kids when they're having meltdowns. Like, no, I don't, I'm not like, and it was like, as long as I was in that thing, that like pedestal for myself that I thought I had to be on, and I couldn't even admit when I was like feeling so inadequate or out of control or feel my feelings, that was what was disconnecting me from Hashem. And like the poor person is like really the higher level. So it's like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to do this, and I need help, and I feel scared and I feel needy. It's like getting into like the truth of like, we don't have it all figured out. Yeah. And that is what builds this amazing relationship. And that's actually the path to freedom.
That's the bittul, like, the vulnerability of being human. Hello, I made you human. And we thought that we're not good enough because we're human. And it's like, if you're not going to admit that you're human, then you're not connecting to me. It comes when you finally admit that you're human and you actually don't feel perfect. You know, now that's the bittul, you're out of the way. But before, what we thought was perfect was actually ego. You know, it allowed us to feel whatever.
And it trapped us.
Yeah, it trapped us. And it didn't connect us straight to source. It did not. Because Hashem wants to be human. He doesn't want to be spiritual. He wants to be human with spirituality, of course, in the mix. But real, authentic, to say, it's too much for me, it's not going to work, and not be embarrassed. Could I say that with a straight face? And nobody's going to say, well, what it's going to look like? But people are going to think. Huh? You know what? I was created to serve God. I don't care what people think.
It's like that that video that Shandel posted of that young girl, that heartbreaking video where she was singing the song, but she told her story about that she's, terminally ill, and I don't know if everybody whoever saw it, but and they gave her like the highest award, and money started flowing down or whatever it was, because they were so touched and so moved because she was so real. Mm-hmm. And it's like that vulnerability to come out there, and she was scared, and she showed her fear. She was so real, she was so raw, but it was so beautiful. And
right, and
so
that connects. That's where the connection happens. When a person's vulnerable, that's where you could connect to them. Person who's coming across as greater than you, you're not having a connection. So it's like that bittul, and it's so freeing to finally, like, I could be myself. I could actually admit that this doesn't, that I'm not this, I'm not that. It's so freeing, and it helps you connect to people. They're like, oh, I'm also like that. Okay, now we can be friends,
I just want to say one more thing, even more than freeing, like we were talking about how we're moving along so fast, the transformation is happening like snap your finger. Why? Because the more and more authentic we become, releasing ourselves is really just like owning up, being authentic with ourselves and being honest and being like, I feel this is triggering me, this is coming up for me, expressing it and getting it out of ourselves is the release. Like something you just say it and then it's like, then the body does the rest. Like you don't even need to do anything else. So it's like, it's all hand in hand, like getting humble, getting better, like expressing, and then we couldn't move forward because we couldn't talk this way. That's all we need to do, just express it.
Like, for example, a very good tool, you don't always have to heal the trigger. When you're feeling fear, is to actually feel the fear. Just sit there and feel. The fear wants to be felt. I feel fear, and sit with it. And what happens is it just wants to be felt, and it passes through, and then it's gone. That's it. You don't have to do anything. It's, you know, it's just, all the stuff that we know how to do right now, you know, that we didn't have before is, it's beautiful. It's freeing us and allowing us to connect to essence and to live a life of like continuous flow with that energy. We're cleaning up so that we could allow that continuous flow of energy, of essence, of Amuna, that knows that everything's okay and feels joy because everything's okay, even whatever happens outside of you, you know, and it's authentic, it's not fake. So therefore we have health, because when you fake Amuna, it affects, you're holding things in, and chas v'shalom, there are illnesses that happen because of that. So this is true Amuna. You're really fine. You're feeling good. Okay. So now, okay, so because the poor man is not distracted by these giluyim, and he's accessing the pnimius of Hashem, he's talking to Hashem via the pnimius. Okay, so that's why it says lifanai, right? Remember, we used the word lifanai before me. So so the Rebbe says that when we tune into the pnimius, so we are connected to Hashem in the way of Elokecha becomes. So your Hashem becomes your empowerment and your life force. Okay, so like it's like you know what you have to do, and it comes through your heart, and you do it, and everything comes to you. So it's your empowerment. It's your life force. You feel so alive. You feel so excited to do the next thing, and to whatever, to just be alive, even not even do, to just be. You know. So in this way we're serene, and everything comes to us. When we're expressing Hashem's will, then it comes in a way of attraction, not force. And then the Rebbe says, and this way we're being a servant to a king. So then we're like a king. So we have wealth, and we have all the finest of everything. So this is the key. Okay. So now, the Rebbe, we're going to go to where we left off. The Rebbe says, so how does this connect? So now we're going to bring back about Shabbos and Matan Torah, the connection between the fact that Shabbos preceded the 2 days of Shavuos, right? So there was a 3-day Yom Tov without interruption. So number one, so what kayach does it give us when it's this order? So there's no interruption of weekday work, right? So first of all, the serenity itself of Shabbos. You're bringing in serenity of Shabbos into the fulfillment of the Torah, because Shavuos is about Torah, and Shabbos is about serenity. So now the kayach to bring the serenity of Shabbos into Torah, okay? And that's really, to bring that serenity, you have to really allow more Torah to be revealed, so that we're actually fulfilling what's in a way that brings us serenity, okay? And number two, is Shabbos goes before Sunday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Those are the days of the week. So you're talking about, division and separation and all that. So when we have Shabbos that goes straight into Sunday and Monday, so we're talking about bringing that serenity, not just into Torah, but into things that are like mundane, okay, about change and levels and things. So you're bringing a continuation of flow into things which are bound with change and differences in time and place. Okay, so it's a two way empowerment. It's a 2 times multiple empowerment. It's bringing the serenity into the Torah, because we didn't live the Torah in a way of serenity before. That was the masculine understanding. It wasn't a serene way. Always, sometimes yes, sometimes no. And you're bringing it into your physical, mundane life by bringing it into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So bring that serenity into our way of living. And I remember, I think the first class we gave on this, where the Rebbe said that when we are connecting to Hashem through our pnimius, right? So we feel serene. And then when we do things through that energy of serenity, that's a higher vibration, everything else is blessed. Like the things that we do come easier. We don't have to chase. We don't have to work so hard. You make more money with less work or whatever, right? And then it spreads to the whole world. Okay, so this is what the Rebbe is talking about. And then we also have that it was Parshas Bamidbar. So what's the connection between Parshas Bamidbar again and this serenity? So a midbar is a place that a person doesn't settle, right? There's no life going on over there. It's empty, right? So if you want for vacation, maybe, but to live, you need things. You need a grocery store. You need things, right? You need happening things. So it's not a place of hisyashvus. It's not a place of feeling settled, but it is a place of serenity. Okay. So the novelty of Matan Torah is that it was given in a midbar is bringing serenity even to a place that is it is the opposite of feeling settled, because we want to have two things. We want to have serenity and feeling settled. So it was given in a midbar, which is a place where you don't settle, to give serenity also in a place that is not settled. Okay. And even more so is that through this, the serenity and the feeling of settlement is brought into the world, into our day-to-day mundane life. Then it also talks about counting Bnei Yisrael. So counting is an idea of settlement and establishment. And again, the Jews were counted in the midbar, in a place of not settled. Okay, so by counting them, Hashem is bringing hisyashvus and a feeling of settlement into a place which is the opposite of settlement. And what I loved was the beautiful thing that the Rebbe ended off with the fact when we count animals for Maasar, so the animals are moving. So that's not settled, right? And every 10th animal is kadosh, holy. So what does the Rebbe say? Holy as a word, not a descriptor, but as a word on its own. And holy is the completion of serenity and contentment. So if we want to get to our ultimate, to be the ultimate Jew, a holy Jew, we have to be on this road of figuring out how to live authentically in a way and balanced in a way that we feel serene and content. Okay, like I said, it's a journey.
Could you explain that? What is the 10th animal? Like, how does that connect to the serenity?
So no, every 10th. Oh, how does it connect? I don't know exactly, but every 10th is holy. And the Rebbe was saying about, I don't know exactly what does it mean. So you stop at every 10 maybe. So there's the stop, the siyashvus, the settlement. But so it's like saying that, the animals were moving. So that's like busyness and then stopping. And the idea is to bring the
like completion,
serene,
like tennis.
Serene life into the busyness. So if we could bring this and high vibration of serenity and joy and peace into our day-to-day lives, then that is holy. That is how we will be living a holy life. And that's how we're going to be kulo tzadikim. And it's, the Rebbe says, and in Hasidus it says, we're going to be higher than tzadikim gemurim, because the Beinoni is going to achieve a higher level of completion than a tzaddik gomer who is more into the spirituality. That's the bottom line. And we're going to be balanced and access Hashem himself through the mundane. It's Hashem is a creation. Hashem is the world. Like, when you go on vacation, that's why I shared that article, you're mamish experiencing Hashem. It's like, you can't get, better than that. It's not about always being spiritual, but it's a balance. If we don't learn Torah, how are we going to know what's holy, right? Or how are we going to know the revelations of how to get even closer, right? So we need the Torah. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that it's not about being spiritual. It's about achieving authentic serenity and feeling of settlement to the point that it affects the energy, your home energy. You see palpable change of energy in your home. People are not so uptight anymore. They're not so rigid. They're more generous. They don't fight as much. You're getting somewhere. And then that affects the whole world. They get out of limitation. Yeah.
Also, what I'm hearing also is like the midbar is unsettled, and the movement of the animals, whatever. It's like, as long as we only feel like we're okay and we're at peace, if everyone around us is at peace, or if everything's settled, or we're done, we're accomplished, then we're anxious because it never lasts. But it's like, okay, you know, maybe my husband's struggling, or I'm at my parents' house and they're in their energy, or, you know, my kid's going through this, or I don't know what's going on or whatever. But it's like, it's holy to be like, or I'm feeling unsettled, and it's like, this is okay. This is where Hashem needs me to be, like, to be in peace with no matter what we're going through, and not shame ourselves and realize we don't have control over this, like how we're feeling, what's going on. Like, you know, we used to think it's spiritual, like, oh, now I'm not able to show up in the best way, and I have to like quickly get myself back so that like I'm doing what Hashem wants. No, it's like, peace comes when it's like, this is what Hashem wants from me. Like, I'm feeling
accepting ourselves when we don't always feel perfect is also part of peace. To be at peace with being imperfect, and to be at peace without feeling. I remember one day I was feeling edgy, and I was like, you know, I couldn't get out of it, whatever. But that day, I'm like, okay, so this is how I feel. This is how Hashem wants me to feel right now. There's a peace in that. Let go. Okay. The next day went away, you know, but it's like, okay, whatever. Maybe some energy has to. A lot of times when you're energy sensitive, there's things from the world that come through you. What are you going to do? Hashem wants it to go through you, and accept, and stop judging yourself like you didn't do anything, you did something wrong. There's that peace. Yeah, so there's a lot with this Geula Avoda of just being okay with being human. There's a peace in that, and like, and not being perfect. And did I say the right thing? That's okay, but I did say it. Who cares? You know, not like trying to hurt anyone, but like, it's like, to be okay with not being perfect is also a big redemption.
We have no free will in what comes out of our mouth, and I'm realizing that more and more and more. Like, absolutely no. We think like we open our mouths and we have logic to it. There's no logic. It's like Hashem completely. I mean, unless we're disconnected and I don't know, but yeah,
100%. Okay, now we're going to continue to the end. Hopefully, share. Oh no, wrong one. Let me close that. Okay, let's share. Where was that? Oh, here it is. Okay, share. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're up to Yud Aleph. Okay, so the lesson in practicality from what was said above, because in the time of Matan Torah every year we are given the Torah in a new way, which is what we're saying, that it's Hashem keeps on revealing himself. It's a live Torah, because Hashem reveals himself through like coming through and telling us different things. Like, oh, I didn't understand this yesterday. It's through our mind, really, okay, and maybe through our body as well. And she is given specifically below. She is not in heaven, in the way that it adds a novelty in the serenity of the world. It is understood that Bnei Yisrael need to receive every year in a new way. Every day it should be new in your eyes, until it is actually mamish new, and in a way that they absorb this in their minds below, until it is in a way that it is mamish actually from the language of mamasha, substance. Okay, so this is what we spoke about before, that the Rebbe is saying that be aware that you're going to understand new things, because Hashem is going to reveal deeper and deeper truth through the Torah, and you have to mamish live the new way, in a way mamish, you know what I mean, and make it happen, you know what I mean. It's like, you can't say, oh, I already learned this, I already gonna learn it again. You're gonna see new things, because you're gonna take whatever you had before and bring it in there, and just this awareness of the fact that there's new things being revealed is so like inspiring, because you know, it allows us to believe that if I understood something yesterday that I didn't understand today, that I didn't understand yesterday, it's Hashem revealing himself to us. It's beautiful. And even more so this year, when we go straight from Shabbos to the time of Matan Torah on the first day, Sunday, the novelty in this must be with more vigor and more strength, and in the two ends, receiving the Torah anew from a place of recognizing the giver of the Torah, okay, and that the Torah is, okay, I have to fix that, the purpose of the whole entire creation, and therefore it brings us to the novelty of the serenity by a Jew in his service, and brings serenity to the world. And together with this, to continue the serenity of the Torah in all the details of the mitzvahs, and in all details of one's kaiches, strengths, and in all details of his service until it is in all details of the world. So it's like a butterfly effect. Okay, so we have to continue what we're speaking about. Is just continue learning, taking out what we have to change now, what is more true, what is Hashem revealing more about himself. Try to emphasize, change your way of living to a more geula living. Okay, so it's number one, it's that recognizing, who's talking. It's Hashem who gave the Torah, and recognize that the purpose is to get to this place of serenity. So knowing the two of them, just keep at it, keep on this journey until you see that the whole world is serene, and and we could take credit, just like we gave ourselves credit for the fact that the whole world became refined through our Torah mitzvahs of the thousands of years, right? Now, when we learn the Torah and incorporate it, internalize it, and live our lives differently in a geula way, then we're going to see changes in the world, and we're going to say, I did it. There's no more fighting in Eretz Yisrael. I did it. Everybody could say it. I'm not just talking about myself. Everybody is doing their share in cleaning up that energy, in taking the world to a higher vibration, that people stop feeling like they have to kill each other in order to get along. They find ways that they have, accept, so you'll do this and I'll do that, and we can work together, so it's getting out of the egos and all that stuff. So it begins with adding by him a renewal in his learning from the recognition of the giver of the Torah, and specifically through the study of Pnimius HaTorah, the deepest aspects of the Torah. Know the God of your fathers and serve him with a complete heart. To know Hashem, okay? Remember the Rebbe saying the difference between the Ani and the Asher, right? So people who are, it's in the previous generation, they're very into knowing all the spheres and all the all the levels and all the revelations. But now it's to know Hashem. To know Hashem, you have to connect Hashem's essence. It's very down to earth. The more down to earth you're getting, the more you're going to know Hashem. It's like the nature, to get to study nature and why Hashem made so many different animals and so many different things, and all these different nations and languages. It's so many beautiful things to understand about Hashem, and serve him with a complete heart. Okay, what's complete heart? Nothing shut down, everything on board, everything validated. Listen to what it's saying. Listen to your body. The body tells you how, if you got it right or not. If you make a change and then you feel at peace, you got it right. So the body is like the validator. That's the purpose of the body. It validates. If you understood what Hashem wanted, because if you put that into practice and now you're feeling good, then you're on the right track. And together with this, studying Torah with understanding and grasping of man. And simply, every Jewish person should add something new in quantity and quality in the study of Torah. Be it in general shiurim, that is the same for everyone, including and specifically in these times, saying Pirkei Avos every Shabbos in the summer, and even better, to learn one Mishnah in depth. So there's a thing called saying, right? Saying Pirkei Avos, and then there's learning. So the Rebbe says, okay, don't do the whole thing, but try to learn one Mishnah in depth, because you never know when you start talking about it, how many revelations are going to come out. You're like, oh my God, look what I understood now. I didn't understand that yesterday, but now that I'm saying this, of course, it has to be also work with your body and your heart. If it doesn't resonate to do it right now, it's okay. You don't have to worry. But at least have that in mind, that you might want to do that. That's a suggestion to when you're saying Pirkei Avos, if you're saying it, to learn a Mishnah in depth, pick one of them and really think about it. So you're going to get new understanding in understanding and grasping. And the same for the known shiurim and chitas, to learn every day the share of chumash, divided according to the days of the week, right? So how did, remember I taught we had one of the first classes in the series was about the Igeres HaKodesh Epistle 4, right? About Geula comes Ein Ben David Ba Ela Mahesa Chadas, when we connect Hashem that's above limitations, right? So then we have that Amunah, and it's very similar to this. It's from saying chitas. How many times did I say it all the other years, right? And then maybe a few, whatever, the last time we said this Perek Tanya, my eyes open. I'm like, look at the secrets over here. Didn't even realize. It's telling us how to bring Geula. how many times and I found mistakes that it was translated wrong in the English. How many times did we say this? Hundreds of years, whatever. Finally, this year, that's what we're talking about. And I shared it with somebody. I said, look at the mistake that nobody even realized. You're right. It's translated wrong. I said, look at the Hebrew, look at the English. And the English translation makes it a whole different understanding that's Pasha keeping that piece of Tanya in Gullus. And it's like by opening your eyes and seeing that it's not interpreted correctly, you're taking it out of Gullus. But it's all Hashem's timing. So the more you keep on, learning, okay, listen, we're not telling you to do everything, but just appreciate how amazing it is, because Hashem is going to open everybody has something else that they're going to notice. And they're going to share with somebody else. Like, oh my God, I just saw this, just saw that. That's so exciting. So to learn every day the share of Chumash divided according to the days of the week, share in Tehillim in the way it's divided according to the days of the month, and share in Tanya in the way that it's divided according to the days of the year, which is so interesting that I didn't notice this before, right? Chumash is divided according to the days of the week, Tehillim according to the days of the month, Tanya according to the days of the year. I don't know the significance, but it's quite interesting. You have 1, 1, 1. You have for the days, you have for the month, you have for the year, which is, just it's appreciation of that. So these 3 shiurim correspond to the 3 shepherds who are connected with the Yom Tov of Shavuos. Okay, because this sicha was about Shavuos. So you have Chumash corresponds to Moshe Rabbeinu, who received the Torah from Har Sinai. Tehillim is the book of David HaMelech, who passed away on Yom Tov, on the Yom Tov of Shavuos. And Tanya, the explanations of the Torah of Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, who also passed away on the Yom Tov of Shavuos. So there's a connection between Chitas and Shavuos. Very interesting. And also what is good and correct in the learning of Rambam, the way it is divided for 1 year. You could either learn the way it's divided for 1 year, approximately, through learning 3 prakim a day, or the way it's divided in 3 years through learning 1 parak chapter a day, or even Sefer HaMitzvahs. Everybody does according to what works for them. And be it in general shurim in all parts of the Torah of every achad achas, 1 and 1, every person according to his own abilities. Okay, so the Rebbe is saying, the Rebbe is giving a lot of suggestions of things that you might want to add or take on, so that you could, whatever talks to you, so you could see where you're going to see new ideas and new understandings, new revelations of Hashem. Okay, Isid base. And in this matter, adding and renewal in Torah in connection to the time of Mount Torah, we can propose to inspire about an additional matter to publicize and print Chedushei Torah, new insights in Torah. Okay, so the Rebbe is saying that everybody should not only see new things every time you learn, but if you found something exciting, you should publicize it and print it. And more than this, one has an obligation to have new insights in the Torah. Le'efshala, in accordance with the Psak Din, the ruling and halacha of the Alter Rebbe in the laws of Torah study. And the law is that we should have new insights in many laws, right? So you understand what we're saying here, right? You have to keep on receiving the Torah new, and we get closer to the truth. So if we have a new understanding halacha, the halacha is going to change, right? So the Rebbe is saying you have to keep on publishing. Like if somebody sees something that I understand now that the halacha has to be different, publish it, let people know about it, let them review it and see if taka makes sense. Maybe we have to change certain things. In accordance to the breadth of his heart and the clarity of his das knowledge. In the generations that preceded us, they were careful in regards to Chedushei Torah, new insights in Torah, even when it wasn't in halachic matters, in practicality, only in the way of pilpul, sharp analysis itself. Okay, so what we're saying is that in the past, it wasn't acceptable to have your own chedushim. It was like only people who were very, very high up were able to like share chedushim, right? Okay, be in regards to writing Chedushei Torah, and even more so, okay, I have to take out in regards to publicizing in print. And the conduct was that not everyone who wants to should partake, but only specifically after certain conditions and proofs that the Chedushim are in accordance with the Torah of the truth. Then in the past, that's what was the requirement before you could share Chedushei Torah and publish. But that is not so in the generation after this. Which is, we're talking about the Alter Rebbe's generation to this generation. So on the one hand, to delve and search into it, Okay, I must be missing something. I have to fix it up afterwards. So I'm gonna have to fix that up. Okay. We still need to be extra careful because, oh, okay, that's why. Because I put the period in parentheses, the period in the wrong place. Okay, so on the one hand, we need to still, it's not like, okay, just make things up, okay? So we still need to be extra careful because not everyone who writes Chiddushei Torah and writes Psak Din can we rely on. But on the other hand, because of the decline in generations, we have to find more ways to add to the study of Torah in the way of Yagdel Torah v'Yadir. He should increase in Torah and make it glorious, including increasing in its publicizing. So what's so special about publicizing Torah? Why does it create more exciting? But the Rebbe is saying that this is a lower generation, but in a way, I feel like we're a higher generation because we're getting, like the lower we get, if you want to call it, the less spiritual, the more earthy, the more we're connecting to essence. So I call our generation a higher generation, okay, in a certain sense. But what's so exciting about publishing? The Rebbe says we have to make it more exciting, right? So why? Therefore, it's worthy to inspire and to hurry all that are suited to insights of Torah, and on condition that one's learning is in accordance with Klalei Torah, general rules of Torah learning, and simply, even if one is not sure if their Chiddush is in accordance to the truth of the Torah, not only should one not hold himself back from writing Chiddushim, but he should try to write them and publicize them also in print, in a specific kaivet, a collection of his own, or in a collection that also includes Chiddushei Torah of others, and not only between friends and students, but also between those who study Torah in general. Okay? So what the Rebbe is saying is that as long as, you know, you understand the general idea of you know, Torah study, okay? You're not just taking somebody who never learned Torah and he's going to start making Chiddushim, but somebody who is familiar with learning Torah and understands, like you have a certain understanding that this is explained as this, and this is works like this, then you should be publicizing, even if it's not perfect. You should share it, publicize it, even not only between friends and students, but also between those who study Torah with Talmidei Chachamim. And in fact, I mean, I didn't publicize it. Maybe one day I did, but there was a time when I was teaching Bereshis, and I received a lot of insights as I was learning, and I shared it with people who really understood Torah, and they were in agreement. And I was like, "Did you see this? Did you not?" They're like, "Wow, maybe I'll share that in one of the other classes. Some of the new things that I noticed in the words that they never saw before, but they were in agreement. So it's very exciting to be able to have that validation. And mainly the reason for this, as said above, because we see in actuality and much action experience that through this is added Yagdel Torah v'Yadir, increase in Torah and make it glorious, in enlivenment and pleasure of Torah study, be it in relation to himself, in the way that we plainly see how it helps in adding in Torah study when one needs to write it for others, and be it in relation to others. Kenas Seifrim Tar B'Chachma. The envy of Torah scholars increases wisdom. For this, the outcome of this is the good aspect of the necessity of this. Okay, so when you see, like my sister Miriam, like you remember she used to share her videos of things that she understood through saying chitas, right? So this is what the Rebbe is talking about. And then people say, oh, I could also, share my insights. And so you inspire others. And I see Ahuva shares it, and a lot of us share a lot of things that we're understanding. Adina shares, right? So a lot of us, through saying chitas, we get these new understandings. And the Rebbe is saying that it makes excitement. And then people say, oh, let me see what else I understand. Maybe I also have something to share. So it like increases and makes it more exciting to be able to share what you're for yourself. And so everything is for yourself exciting to have an insight and share it. And for others to say, hey, that's something that I might want to be doing, is seeing insights, sharing things that come to me, and not being embarrassed. Especially now where it's okay to not be perfect. That's the perfect time, you see. The time of not being perfect is okay. So now we can share it, and okay. And this is what the Rebbe says. But he says, don't worry if it's not perfect. And as it is said, also in possibility that the Chiddush is not entirely aligned with the truth of the Torah. Okay, so maybe you made it up and it's not so perfect, as we said above. It is still worthwhile. And in general, if one is given to holding this back, so that through this there should be not determined a conclusion in halacha or even in writing a conclusion, we could add that this is according to my humble opinion. Okay, so if you're afraid that when you share an insight, people might actually do something wrong because they might think like halacha changed, and who are you to do it? Okay, so if you want, you could say in my humble opinion. If you want to add that, but they're saying that you don't have to. But the Rebbe is giving us an opportunity, because now we're allowed to be vulnerable and not perfect, to don't worry if it's okay if it's not exactly, if it's inspiring people to live in a more geula way, don't worry about it. And here goes more. As well, when we publicize the Chedushim in print to others, the nature of a person due to self-respect and the universal conduct also of the animal soul is that one will be more careful and look and investigate more in what he writes and publicize. Okay, so it's like don't worry that you're going to mess up. Okay, worst comes to worst, you inspired somebody. As long as you know that it's in alignment with geula, you inspired somebody. But also, when somebody knows he's going to publicize it and people are going to hear, it's just your nature that you're going to try to be careful that it really makes sense what you're saying. Because the bottom line is, if you want people to receive what you're saying, if they know you keep on making up stuff that are totally off the wall, they're not going to believe you anymore. They're not going to be interested in hearing what you're saying. So the Rebbe says, err on don't be too cautious, because between here and there, you're not going to mess up too badly. Yourself, you're going to really check to make sure it's something that makes sense, and and as long as it's inspiring, it's okay. And Yashakayach and add strength to all those who study Torah and keep the mitzvahs, behidder with great care to preserve the razzle of Zman Matan Torah, and try to be mechadish in Torah through the general rules of Torah learning, and publicize the Chedushim, and may be the will of Hashem, and to pray and to draw, even more to the level of a diligent student who will be mechadish in the future, which was given at Mount Sinai. Okay, I don't know if I read that correctly, but basically, all these Chedushim, what the Rebbe is saying is, the Alter Rebbe said, even though they only understood a superficial level, right, because they were more coarse, right? They only understood a superficial level, but because Hashem, Anoich Hashem, came through, it was like revealed into the atmosphere, all the future Chedushim. So when we're like bringing it out, it's like already, it's in the ear. We just have to like connect to it and reveal it. So all this, the Rebbe is saying, I have to fix the grammar, I'll fix it after the class, but we have to just draw down all these revelations that were actually given at Har Sinai. And this is the last ice, which has something very, very special in it that I really appreciated what the Rebbe said. And may it be the will that the increase in Chiddush and Torah study when we come from the time of Mount Torah should add more in serenity, okay? So whatever you're saying has to add more to serenity, okay? That's going to be a checklist. Is it making you more stressed out, whatever you're coming up with, or less? Serenity of spirit and serenity of the body of the Torah learner, from health in the soul and health in the body, and serenity to every single Jew in every place that they are. So the Chedushim, what I'm understanding is, should be in a Chedushim that bring more serenity to your way, to the gullus way that we used to live. Okay, until it will bring near the true and complete serenity of Yom Shekula Shabbos Menucha L'Chaya Elamim, the nullification of exile of the Jewish people. For exile is the greatest opposite to the serenity and contentment of the Jewish people. Woe to them, sons who are exiled from the palace, I think, of their father. To fix that, so that it is nullified. The wandering of exile, as well as the opposite of serenity, of the internal exile. Okay, I have to highlight that. Of the internal exile, okay? That's the biggest exile, the internal exile in the service of Hashem. Okay, I'm going to highlight that. Including and simply the nullification of the concealed and hidden of exile, and all the detailed questions of the redemption and Mashiach Tzidkenu, which comes from the aspect of exile itself. From the aspect in that we were born in exile and were raised in exile, and therefore we are people of exile, Rahmana Litzlan, okay? So what is the Rebbe saying, okay? The Rebbe is saying here that it is very hard to do this geula work, okay? Because the bottom line is, we were brought up this way, okay? So the Rebbe is saying is that we were born in exile and we're raised in exile, and therefore we are people of exile, Rahman al-San, okay? So we have to, don't be so hard on yourself. If you can't feel relaxed all the time, okay, please, you grew up with this whole mentality of all the stuff that we're talking about. We grew up with this whole mentality and what people are going to think, and we have to be productive, or we're not, and then all that stuff, and you're not allowed to enjoy yourself. That's against Judaism, and all that stuff. There's no pleasure in Judaism, and everything is work, and who could do more, and who could be the bigger martyr. And we were born that way. We valued it. We appreciate it. So please, like they were saying, like, be easy on yourself. Recognize that. I felt that so beautiful. Like all these wonderful pieces of clarity that the Rebbe is giving in the sicha. This whole, right, the piece where the Rebbe says, like, spirituality is not, it's about peace and serenity, and there's a lot of things that we held on to before, and the Rebbe is like saying, no, that's not the Torah. Kedusha is not spirituality. It's about living in a balanced way, authentic, real, human, that is feeling peace and serene within, okay? So all this should be nullified, and it should turn around through true return, through revelation by itself, and through stressing the aspect of the neshama, a piece of Hashem above mamish, which is found above exile. So what's we're stressing is connecting to the pnimius, the shechina, right? That the aspect of the shechina is like connected to Hashem that's above creation, right? There's no limitations. That's the place where we connect to Amunah, which we learned in that Igeres HaKadosh Tanya. Okay, so the Rebbe is saying that we should connect to this. So connect to this neshama, the part of the neshama which is found above exile, not the part of the neshama, the spirituality part. We're not saying not to, but we're talking about it's like really focus on this piece of Hashem which is found above exile and is found in a state of serenity. The part of Hashem that we're connecting to that's going to allow us to feel serene is the part that's above. It's the higher 11 part of us. It's the Tayu light. It's the feminine light. It's the Shekhinah light. That focus on connecting to that, because that is already serene. So when we connect to that and honor that and validate that and live that, we ourselves are going to feel serene. Because when you're in a high and in a good state, because you connected to that, vibration, if you want to call it, then you're feeling it. You're feeling it, and that's the piece of your neshama that's above the world and above Golos. It doesn't feel Golos. So me'ein Shabbos and Menucha l'chai elamim, a semblance of the time of external Shabbos and serenity. So when we connect to, like, we can't always do it at once yet, but we can get a taste, and that's what the Rebbe is saying. Yes, we're people of Golos. We were raised this way. It's very hard, but every time we keep on going back and trying again, and connecting. What do I need to do to be in a good state? Think about what went wrong right now. Why am I all frazzled? What can I do different? Do I need to bring in more light energy, Tayu energy? Do I need to dance? Do I need to do some art? Do I need to take a nap? What do I need to do? Or what am I doing? Am I taking on too much? Am I not being authentic? Am I saying yes when I really can't? And now I'm hungry because I didn't eat, and now I'm screaming at everybody. Just connect to this truth of authenticity, and you'll have a taste, and there'll be more and more of this Shabbos and Menucha that we're going to have forever once we, heal all the, get out of we take ourselves out of Golos. We take ourselves out of Golos. And this comes in the way of miyad, immediately. Miyad in Rashi Tevis says Moshe Yisrael, the Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, and David Malcolm Mishicha, the three shepherds who are bound with the holiday of Shavuos, as said above. Immediately after a Talmud Chacham enters a place, there is a blessing mamish in the way of actuality, in the physicality and materiality of the world, in the way that we do with the materiality of physical and the physicality as a vessel for spirituality. Okay, so we're saying is that there's two things that we're going to see brachas in. So what is the Rebbe saying, miyad? What I understand miyad is that they leave this koyach, right? So these three big tzaddikim that are connected with Shavuos, every year they leave us with their koyach that brings bracha. Like, so when they left, they leave with us this tremendous koyach. And every year, especially that year that it was 3 days, it left this tremendous koyach of bringing serenity into the busyness and the fragment and the divided life of the world, the mundane world. Okay, so this koyach that they're giving us is bringing blessings right now in the way of actuality, in the physicality of the materiality of the world. It means like remember the Rebbe said that when we're feeling serene, then even like when we do business, we have more blessing in the business because we don't have to chase. The customers come to you. You don't have to chase. You get better paying customers, and you don't have to deal with people who give you a hard time, right? All these kind of things, right? So you're getting blessings in the materiality of the physical, and also the physical as a vessel for spirituality. Okay, so the way I look at it is the physical as a vessel for spirituality is that when there can be many understandings, but let's say I choose to dance, and that puts me in, that allows me to connect to that vibration, that the essence of Hashem, of feeling serene and joyful. So that to me is bringing spirituality into the physicality. It's like connecting me to Hashem. And I'm loving Hashem, I'm feeling such love of Hashem. I'm sure there are many other explanations for this, but this is the way I see it, which is drawing physicality into spirituality into the physicality, that through me doing this, and it's connecting me and allowing me to shine Hashem's light. And everybody, we become kaddish, right? When we're in that state of menucha, and hisyashvus, of serenity and settlement, we are kaddish. And how do we do it? It could very well be through art or through singing, anything physical, taking a nap, drinking a coffee, whatever it is. So that is how you are now making this seemingly very material thing into something very, very holy, because the holiness is that it's allowing you to be okay and not to be rigid, and to be joyful and to be in a good mood and all that stuff. So this last paragraph, in true and complete redemption through Mashiach Tzidkenu, and in a way to cause and do this matter, and David Malcolm Shicha will come and redeem us, and every one of us says to Mashiach Tzidkenu, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem upon you, language of plural, because it includes all the souls of every Jew in the generation of the redemption. And he replies to each one separately, Aleichem Shalom. Aleichem, the language of plural, includes the deeds and the service of every single Jew, and Aleichem Shalom to the entire Jewish people. And more, and the main thing, immediately. Okay, so with that, we concluded this sicha. And if anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, great class, first of all. So my question is, you were talking about the idea of serenity with Shabbos. And so I was wondering what the connection between Tzalaf and B'nai Tzalaf with that. So it's
I didn't hear.
like directly connected.
Could you
Tzalaf and
repeat?
B'nai Tzalaf, like Tzalaf, like not
Yeah.
keeping Shabbos, but like,
Right.
so I was wondering what the connection with this idea of like the serenity of Shabbos and then going into Torah and all that. So that's my question.
Okay, could you elaborate on the question? So what's the idea of tzlafcha that is?
Well, on the one hand, it seems like he's not keeping Shabbos, right? Because he's not keeping it kahalacha, but
Right.
there's some aspect of Shabbos that he is keeping, which is indicated in the fact that his daughters were able to get what they wanted. So I guess I'm just kind of asking as far as like from the perspective of a woman and our role in keeping Shabbos and integrating Shabbos.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, what I think might be what you're looking for is that, so he did something wrong, right? But you're saying that something good came out of it, right? That his daughters got Eretz Yisrael? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that too, but also his breaking Shabbos is like, it was, so basically the connection with this is that who said this before about like the difference between keeping the Torah according to the books versus according to like our spiritual understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a stretch, but that's sort of like the direction we're going.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more of the connection that I'm looking for.
Okay, so I'll try to answer, and I hope that,
Okay.
the idea of, okay, so what's the idea of Shabbos? Okay, the idea of Shabbos is that everything is prepared. You have beautiful, so you're living luxury sort of, so you're living in this expansive state, and yet you're still doing regular things like eating, sleeping, talking, socializing, right? But you're not living this busy weekday kind of life, okay? So the idea, what we're bringing to Geula from Shabbos is that we're going to learn how to trust, to have emunah, and that's also Shabbos. It's like you prepared, and now you could trust that you don't have to be Mechal Shabbos. You know what I mean? You could trust that you have food and you have everything, and you don't and you don't have to check up on your computer if you're busy, your stocks are going up or down. You could trust and let go that Hashem is taking care of everything. It's that level of peace and serenity that we don't have to be so into everything all the time. Like, we don't have to know that tomorrow what's going on with the stock. Like, we don't have to feel like if we don't know, then all is going to end. Okay, we have our preparation, we did our hishtadlus, we are creating, and I love this because the more I'm talking, I'm seeing we're doing the asay and the lois asay. We're creating an environment of expansiveness, right? So you have nice clothes, good food, okay, and you prepared, so you have food, so you're not stressing out about what you're gonna eat, so there's that level of like not creating your own chaos because there's already food, so you have, and there's the assay of creating that energy, right? And once you do that, you could trust that the world, that Hashem, which is Kutra Brichu, the subconscious of the world, is gonna work with you as a team. That you don't have to always be in control of everything. You did your little hishtadlus. You don't have to control everything to whatever, to the end.
Which is kind of what Tzlachon tried to do, was to manipulate, because he didn't think that the system was going to work.
Exactly. But so that's what I'm saying is what was wrong with what he did. He didn't allow himself to have the geula of knowing that you did your thing, and you could relax. Hashem is going to make sure that it's going to work out. We could let go, and it's a much better way to live, to not have to feel like everything's on our heads. Somebody else could. I don't know. This is too big for me. Okay. But what does that have to do with his daughters? So they were rewarded,
right?
Okay, so the connection. Why would? It's a good question. If anybody has an answer, what's the connection between that he did something wrong?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
But I think there was, at one point, I heard somebody, but I don't remember what the answer was, about that his panemius had a panemius reason, and that was something very true, and that's why his daughters were sicha to, like, it's interesting that the women got a portion, which is sort of very geuladik, that, to recognize the greatness of the women, right? So that is something very geuladik. But what was his, like, subconscious intention that was very geuladik? I don't remember. But if anybody remembers, you could share. But I'm sharing the part of what he did wrong, which is connected to also this piece as well. That what he did wrong was he didn't allow the menucha of Shabbos to really play out, and to be able to just know that you could live a life where you do what you want and you could relax. You don't have to always be vigilant and super controlling of everything. You do yours, you put yourself in a good space and move forward.
What he did wrong, he did right, in a sense. Like he was the masculine, the energy that came so that they could then show the feminine way. It's like they brought the geula through his masculine quote doing it wrong, but he did it
Okay,
right.
that's
Like
a good.
he
Thank
represents
you.
masculine. Like we can't do this on our own. I think that's the real key here is that like we can't be so powerful. That's the feminist, right? That we're like, oh, we're all women, it's all women, we don't need the men. I think we have to see that the men are really helping us to bring our great light forward.
Right,
And
it's team effort. It's a team effort. It's just that the Seder has to be changed. Everybody has to own what their strengths are, and then we could come together and make something really beautiful. So yeah, not sure if we got the exact, but yeah. And what was all these years of making Kalim, right? Thousands of years, right? When we received the Torah, so they had Nasav and Ishma, they had the Bittul, they had the revelation of Anochi Hashem, but they couldn't handle it, right? So what were we doing all these years? We were doing trial and error. Okay, it's like to really get to know Hashem, you got to do it wrong, and then say, no, that didn't work. That caused this. And now when you learn Torah again, you say, that's what it meant. It couldn't have meant this because it's causing pain. It can't. It must mean something else. And you learn it again. And it took so many years of trying everything and anything, emphasize, to be able to see, what's really the ultimate truth. And once you tried it, you have already experience. Okay, so he's sort of like, by doing it wrong and, highlighting that, well, if you're doing it that way, you're not even allowing yourself to have a geula life. It's sort of like maybe awoke the opposite in his daughters, which is if you do it the feminine way, which is what's the feminine way? She says and he does, right? So the desire of Hashem comes through us and we say, okay, Hashem wants me to do X and Y and Z, or Hashem doesn't want me to do X, Y, and Z. And then he does, Hashem helps you bring it about in a very peaceful, serene, easy way, where like instead of you having to call 100 people, you met this one, you met that one, in 3 minutes the whole thing got taken care of. Whereas in the past you had to make 100 phone calls. I'm not saying specifically what's going to happen for every person. There's also that letting go, like we don't know how it's going to happen, but we know that when we're in this state, we are connected to this vibration of Hashem doesn't have any limitations. So there's no rules. So you don't have to do it like this, yeah. You just stay on the train, do what you got to do, because not in a stressful way, of course. If it's stressful, it's not the right thing. And then watch the miracles happen. Watch how all of a sudden, oh, wow, that happened so fast. Like, I didn't even know. I remember one week, living this way, where I had a leftover of something, a white potato, I put it in water. And I never have leftover, then I peeled the potato, extra by mistake, a sweet potato the next day. And then something else I put in the freezer, which I don't usually have that. And then all of a sudden I had a surprise guest that, like, my son came in from Florida. He said he's coming in half an hour for dinner, and I didn't have enough. And I'm like, that's why Hashem told me to prepare all those things. Chop, chop, chop. A half an hour later, you had a whole gourmet dinner. So all these things, you don't know how. Like I said, okay, I don't know why I peeled it, but it's gonna stay in the water. Like boom, and then that was fast. So that's you don't know. You're living in this way where, like, okay, we'll find out. Instead of, I don't know, it's impossible for there to be enough wood, so I have to chop it. How's it going to be? Probably going to use it up and start doing calculations. Get out of your calculations, okay? Just live normal. Stop living so stressed. Just live in the moment. Do what you got to do. Top priority. Can't be stressful. If it's stressful, it's not the right way. And just move forward.
Well, one more point about tzedakah, if I remember. I don't know if it's shot or what.
I can't. It could be talk a little louder or closer to the mic.
Not work.
Or maybe my thing is not so loud. My microphone. I don't know. Okay, yeah. If you could.
No, it is. It is hard to hear her.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time hearing her too.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello. Rachi. I can't hear you. Oh,
I think she froze or something.
Oh, okay.
Can I share something?
I'll post on the group. Okay, Rachi said she's gonna post on the group. Okay. Someone else had a question before we?
I just want to share something about self.
Sure.
Rachel, hello. It's nice to be here. Thanks
Hi.
for having me. First of all, I loved how it ended off saying that, like, Shalom Aleichem, that we're all included in this Avaida of Goa. It's really that was like a big chiddush for me from today. And I guess just based on my experience, especially the past couple months, specifically the past like even week, where you have Tzalafchad and what he did, and then you have pretty much immediate feedback. I mean, it was a nice amount of years from when he passed away until the story happened, but it's very like immediate in a way where yes, there's a whole process, but the shift pretty much happened immediately. You know, it wasn't like generations. Like I'm looking at a lot of generational stuff with personally and like healing a lot of that kind of stuff, and seeing also when I step, and I don't know, there's a million things that I could say about like the past couple months where I've really seen immediate feedback with the work that I'm doing, like immediate. I'm sure you all have a million stories yourself, but that's what's given me the strength to keep going. Just the fact that like the feedback is like instantaneous. And you're all shaking your heads because you know.
Yeah, we've tasted it many times, and that's
like,
that inspires us because we remember, like, all right, we know what it tastes like. We'll keep on going.
I'll just tell you what happened. What's happening right now? It's in the process. But I've been living with my grandmother for 3 years now, and I decided it's time. Last week, I left therapy at Monday. I did like some body therapy, and I was like, okay, it's time. Tuesday, I posted, I did some searching, I messaged a broker. Wednesday, I saw 4 places. The 4th place I saw, I was like, this is it. I'm not kidding.
Wow, I'm getting the chills.
And then what?
Getting the chills.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's it. Like I took it, I'm like, done. And then he's like, yeah, like you could do the application and like move in and like I'll be done in 2 days. And I was like, I wasn't ready. So like Thursday, I needed like a breather day. Friday, I was like, all of a sudden I'm like all enthusiastic about it and like Shabbos and whatever. And it was just like, I told my aunt about it and she's just like, yeah, it should happen.
Froze.
I'm like, listen, like I am blessed with such clarity. I'm like, I don't have the confidence to go through with it.
Froze again.
Voices around me, but like as soon as I get through that, we should have clarity and but they're happening. I have the clarity. Thank you for your wishes. Like it's just so crazy. So I wanted and obviously it's like not official and it didn't happen yet, but like it just feels like so Gula. So I guess I guess this is something I thank Hashem and sharing with you. But I guess that's what I was thinking about Tzalafchad and his daughters, that there was like this idea of like really immediate feedback of like there was something really great that he did, and it was clear very soon after because of the way his daughters were treated. It's also interesting because I've heard recently that they were older. They got married in their 40s, I think, and they got, I don't know, something. And they got this chelek, like from their father, not from their husband. And that's kind of like where I'm the point that I'm at right now. I just turned 30.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm older, but I just feel like it's just like this waiting for like somebody else to take care of it for me. And I'm like, Hashem could take care of it for me. And so that's also a big part of it also.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
beautiful.
Definitely a lot more to share.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So this is beautiful to keep on, inspiring each other and sharing how we're, tasting it already. And it really, whenever I need to like just pick myself up, I just look back and I'm like, oh my God, do I have a story? Just, right now it could look one day like this and like that, but looking back at seeing how we've come such a long way and we've seen so many miracles and so many transformations that it just keeps you, moving forward. You're onto a real thing, the way it just changes. And, we're not there yet, but we're Baruch Hashem. And when you have that clarity, this is what we're talking about. The Ratzon is the clarity. It's like, without, you don't have to understand why. I know this is right for me. And that's where you're connecting to that asmus. And when you're connecting to that, everything gets like handed to you and easy. Like you find things that you need much easier when you're connecting to that. When you're in your head, you might have to work a little hard to get what you want. But when you have it coming from within, that clarity. This is what I need to do. This is what's right for me. And you're not ashamed, and you just go with it. You see how, the higher, the masculine of Hashem responds as a husband that responds to his wife's need. She says, he does, right? And Hashem created the world, right? Vayem Hashem and Vayehi. And the Malachim brought it, like this is what I understand. The Malachim are the ones who made it happen. Hashem said, that's the feminine, the Shekhinah, and then it was. The Malachim put it into, so the feminine is like getting clear about what's coming through and saying that that's what I want to do, or that's what I want to do, and then things straighten out. And until we live this way, like we know the rules of how to live the most peaceful, geuludic way. But this is where it starts, tuning in. It's not, it's not like a snap. Miyad, what does miyad mean? That we could put these things into practice and taste. The Rebbe said, we could taste pieces of geula right now. If I'm in a bad mood and I do things to put myself in a good mood, and then all of a sudden things start working out, even if it's for an hour or two, I've tasted geula. So we could do it right now. We don't have to wait for this big bang. Could do it right now. Okay, all the best and have a wonderful week. So I'm gonna have to figure out what's the next sicha. I'm thinking if it's kiseitze or bay. And for the next 2 weeks, then in July, I'm gonna be busy. So I'm not gonna be doing it in July, and then we'll see afterwards when everybody's ready back from their vacations or whatever they did. And we'll be, Baruch Hashem, learning as many of these exciting geula sichas as we could and discussing them so that it becomes real and we put into practice. Okay, have a wonderful.
I want to say that I'm looking at the picture. The Rebbe really empowered the women, and he empowered everyone. Like everyone was so concerned. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just remembered. I forgot that I wanted to share this. Just to remind me that my brother was going through my parents' letters of the Rebbe, and he found the letters from my sisters that the Rebbe wrote when they were born. And by the girls, he underlined l'tayra, l'chufa l'masim tayvim. He underlined by Tyra. And by the boys, he did not. And I'm like, oh my God.
You tuned into what I want to say, because what I was going to say is that for so many years, women felt like they couldn't be rabbis, and this whole thing of like women wanting to be rabbis and wanting to be able to give over Torah. And then it was like in a box. Like it could only be through rabbi. It had to be through a rabbi. You couldn't get smicha. And now what we're learning here is that all of this true Torah is coming through the women, and it's going to actually convert the men. It's like going to completely change their Torah. And
it's amazing. The Rebbe underlined Torah for the women only. Like he knew who is going to reveal the truth, the ultimate truth of Hashem in the Torah and the women. And we checked the letters. And if you look online, letters of the Rebbe for baby girls, letters of the Rebbe for baby boys. I'm going to find it, post it. You'll see that the girls are underlined, Torah, and the boys are not.
But that also goes in line with when the Rebbe left in body and everyone freaked out and said, we don't have a leader. He knew it wasn't true because he's saying the Torah Hadasha, the true Torah, is coming through the women. So you don't need to have all the rabbi leaders, like.
And there are also actually a lot of rabbis that are feminine. I consider them feminine, right? So Rabbi Wolf and. Right? There's a lot of, they understand, but it's the idea. It's the feminine, including women, big part, because we understand it because when we see it, we're like, oh, I know what that is. I know what Hashem is saying over here because it's our light. So like we could even explain it more. Like they start us off and they don't even get to the depth. I'm like, I could even bring it down more. You said it a little bit, okay? And I'm bringing it home to practicality even more. Whatever, I'm not me, everybody, is doing that, it's just, Baruch Hashem.
I'm seeing that a lot.
Amazing times. Very lucky. Yeah. Okay, have a wonderful week. And
thank you so much.
Continued. Take care.
Thank you.